Well everyone, time to do another comparison this time around between the OnePlus Nord and the iPhone 11. So we are getting the iPhone 12 sometime soon, so I'll be completely honest, I cannot wait to compare both these phones to the new iPhones, but these two are kind of in the same price range, and it's actually very interesting to see what both these manufacturers have as their budget offering of devices. So if you want to pick either of these ones up, I'll leave the cheapest ones that I find on Amazon in the description below so you can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now starting off with the front panels on both, you can see that there's a couple of differences between them for sure. The iPhone 11 is a little bit smaller in every dimension, but it is a little bit thicker, I think, in my opinion. Now with the iPhone 11, you are getting a 6.1 inch liquid retina IPS panel on this specific device. Now it is a 28 by 1792, so a little bit over HD, technically not full HD. Actually, it's not full HD, but you have True Tone on it, and I think the panel on it is not bad. Like, I think Apple did a pretty good job at it. I wish it was OLED. Apparently they're going to bring an OLED display for these next batch of iPhones, but the iPhone's 11 display isn't bad. You do have a little bit of bezel around the display, nothing too crazy, but a little bit more than the OnePlus Nord. But you do have a notch on the iPhone 11, which I'm totally okay with. I really don't care that much, and if they remove it or if they keep it, I really don't care. But I'm sure a lot of you maybe not fit in that same thought process as me, so you're gonna have to determine whether you like that notch or not, but I'm sure all of you guys know it, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are used to it by now. So the iPhone 11 I think has a good display, but definitely not an amazingly crazy display that's gonna wow you. Where the OnePlus Nord is also kind of in that same boat, but it does have some more capability than the iPhone 11 I think in terms of that front panel. Now you have a 6.44 inch display on the OnePlus Nord. It's Fluid AMOLED and it's a 1080p panel. So the PPI is higher, the resolution is higher, and I really don't think if you're looking at them side by side, I don't think you're gonna, notice one being way better than the other one just based off a still image on both. But what I will tell you though is that with that OnePlus Nord, you are getting that 90Hz refresh rate, which is a really cool thing, and in my opinion, that's enough of a reason to pick up a OnePlus Nord over the iPhone 11, but don't stop there. Watch the rest of this video because there's a lot of reasons to pick up the iPhone 11 over the OnePlus Nord, but I think the OnePlus Nord having that 90Hz refresh rate is an extremely cool thing, and you also have that fingerprint sensor in the display as well, which is really cool. And the OnePlus Nord, I feel like whenever Apple makes an iPhone that's, better than the iPhone 11, it's going to have the same counterparts as the OnePlus Nord in my opinion. And you do have a dual front-facing camera on the OnePlus Nord as well, which is really cool. And I haven't seen another one of those since I think like the Pixel 3 XL, which is kind of funny. So the OnePlus Nord I think has the better display on the front, but the iPhone 11's display is still good enough for the most part, and I think a majority of you will actually probably like it. You have a lightning port on the bottom of the iPhone 11 and a USB Type-C port on the bottom of the OnePlus Nord, and on the back, glass backs on both. You have a dual camera setup on the iPhone 11, but a quadruple camera setup on the OnePlus Nord. And you might think, oh, because it has more cameras, it's better automatically. Not the case at all. I can definitely tell you firsthand experience, but I'll talk more about that in the camera department of this video. Now, they both have glass backs, however the iPhone 11 does have wireless charging, where the OnePlus Nord does not have any wireless charging, which does kind of suck a little bit, but that's something you're going to have to determine whether that's a big deal to you or not. Me personally, I would like to have it, and it's not a big deal, but it is something I would rather have than not. Now another big thing the iPhone 11 has is IP certification. You have IP68 dust and water resistance on the iPhone 11, where you do not have that on the OnePlus Nord, so that's another big thing right there. Again, you're going to have to determine whether you like IP certification or not. If you're not around water all the time, or if you're not sweating on your phone all the time, then I think you'll be okay. But that's still a really cool thing to have on a device, and the iPhone 11 has it at the end of the day. And I just feel like the iPhone 11 is the better built device over the OnePlus Nord as well. I feel like the OnePlus Nord is a great phone, but the iPhone 11 feels better in the hand and it feels more premium in my opinion, even though the OnePlus Nord may look more premium. So in terms of that pretty much covers it up in terms of the outside. Now hitting on the software, the iPhone 11 came out with iOS 13. The OnePlus Nord started off with Android 10. Now both these phones are going to be lasting for quite a bit of time, and you're going to have to determine whether you like iOS or you like Android. These are two completely different operating systems, but they share a lot of the same similarities. But you're going to have to ask yourself if you have a bias towards iOS or if you have a bias towards Android. That kind of already answers the question of which one you're going to get, but that still doesn't mean you should get one over the other just because of the software. Now the longevity of the software, the iPhone 11 is probably going to be the winner here. OnePlus is a really good Android manufacturer when it comes down to the software. They have a pretty good software lifecycle of their devices. Phones like the OnePlus 6 and 6T are still supported, and I think the OnePlus 5 and 5T also got Android 10 or something, I don't really remember. But chances are if you get the OnePlus Nord Nord, you're probably going to go and upgrade the device before you actually go and, end the software lifecycle of it. And I think there's actually some custom ROMs out for a lot of the OnePlus phones as well. So that's a really good thing the OnePlus phones have going for it. But the iPhone 11 is still probably the better one when it comes down to the software updates as well as the software lifecycle. You're going to be getting a longer lasting supported device from Apple with the iPhone 11 than from OnePlus with the OnePlus Nord. So in terms of the software, that pretty much covers it up for the most part. Now hitting on the performance on both, I did a speed test between them too, so you can kind of look at that while I'm speaking about the specs and everything. The iPhone 11 has that Apple A13 Bionic chip, hex-core CPU with 4 gigs of RAM on each model, where the OnePlus Nord has that Qualcomm Snapdragon 765G chipset, an octa-core CPU, Adreno 620 GPU, and 6 gigs of RAM on that base model, 8 gigs of RAM on that mid-tier model, and then 12 gigs of RAM on that top-tier model. So again, specs mean one thing on paper, but as I was going and opening up these apps and everything, I was kind of seeing that the OnePlus Nord and iPhone 11 again were more or less the same, but maybe the OnePlus Nord may have been a little bit of the faster one. It may have just, gotten the app open just a split second before the iPhone 11. There were some cases where the iPhone 11 was noticeably behind the OnePlus Nord, but I still think the iPhone 11 may have, beaten it a couple of times. I'm not really too sure why the iPhone 11 was a little bit slow or even noticeably more slower than the OnePlus Nord. My iPhone 11, I bought it brand new. I've updated it. It's all good. But there were some cases where the iPhone 11 was slugging behind, but I still don't think the iPhone 11 is a bad performing device by any means, and I have to play devil's advocate. The iPhone 11 is, I think, a smoother device than a lot of Android manufacturers. I compared the Note 20 to the iPhone 11, the OnePlus 8 to the iPhone 11, and even though the OnePlus Nord has that 90Hz refresh rate, I still think the iPhone 11 may have the smoother experience overall. And the things with the iPhone 11, one thing I really like about it is the gestures. They're so much more intuitive than on Android, even though they share a lot of the same capabilities and everything. With something like on the Android device, it just seems to me like whenever you click open an app or whenever you swipe out to go to the home screen, it just seems like there's a lot more lagging going on with the Android side of things. It's not even just a OnePlus problem, but with the Android side of things, it just always seems to be like a step slower than on the iOS side of things. So I think when it comes down to the speed and performance, maybe the OnePlus Nord is the better one, especially if you get that top tier model. I have the base model of it with 6 gigs of RAM, and I think this one is a great performing device too, but if you get that top tier model, I think it will be the overall better performing device than the iPhone 11, but I still think the iPhone 11 is a great performing device too. It's really, really good, and it's definitely smoother than OnePlus Nord, but regardless, to each their own. I think the OnePlus Nord may be the faster one at the end of the day. So when it comes down to that pretty much covers it up. Now hitting on the cameras on both. The iPhone 11, like I said, has a dual camera setup, both 12 megapixel lenses, a wide angle lens, and an ultra wide sensor. The OnePlus Nord has a quadruple camera setup, 48 megapixel wide, 8 megapixel ultra wide, 5 megapixel depth, and then 2 megapixel macro lens. Now, it's up to you whether you use those macro and depth lenses. It's totally up to you. I personally probably have never used them. But you do have 4K at 30 on the OnePlus Nord, but you have 4K at 60 on the iPhone 11, which is a really cool feature. I'm surprised the OnePlus Nord doesn't have it, because it does have it on the front-facing camera, but on the back one, which is really weird. Now, I feel like photo and video quality will be better on the iPhone 11 at the end of the day. I feel like this phone will get you the better-looking photos and better-looking videos, but I feel like the UI is so much more intuitive on the OnePlus Nord. You have a lot more capability from that camera, in my opinion. The software adds a lot more different features than what we are getting on the iPhone side of things, and hopefully Apple will add more capability. But as of right now, we have still a very small amount of things we can change on this specific phone. Now, it's not a bad thing, it's not a great thing, but it is something to kind of keep in mind at the end of the day. Now, in terms of the overall capability of both phones, they both are going to be able to take photos and videos and all that stuff, but I feel like the OnePlus Nord has the better capability of having the better UI, but that iPhone 11 has a better capability of photo and video quality. And on the front, dual camera setup on the OnePlus Nord, 32 megapixel wide and 8 megapixel ultra wide, where the iPhone 11 has a single 12 megapixel camera. Now, both can do 4K at 60 on the front, but I still think the iPhone 11 has that better capability with that camera. I feel like it can do more at the end of the day, and I feel like the camera sensor on the iPhone 11, both the front and the back, are really, really good. So in terms of everything camera-wise, I think the iPhone 11 is the winner here for sure. And ending it off with the battery life, we have a 3,110 mAh battery on the iPhone 11, but a 4,115 mAh battery on the OnePlus Nord. Now, I kind of feel like the iPhone 11 may give me better battery life than the OnePlus Nord if I was using them both side by side and doing everything with them. I feel like the iPhone 11 may be the better winner here. And also on top of that, it does have wireless charging, which is extremely awesome. That is something that not a lot of phones have the capability of. Just kidding. A ton of phones have it. I'm surprised the OnePlus Nord doesn't have it. I've seen budget phones that are like $30 have wireless charging sometimes from Best Buy. And the fact that they couldn't put it on this phone is pretty surprising. I mean, it's a budget phone, but it's really not like that crazy budget if I'm being honest. The iPhone SE, which is cheaper, has wireless charging. So I don't know why they couldn't put it on here, but it is what it is. But in terms of battery life, I feel like the iPhone 11 is a little bit better, but it's not going to be a crazy amount different. I feel like they're both going to be kind of the same, but with that 90Hz refresh rate off on the OnePlus Nord, it may give you better battery life than the iPhone 11, so kind of keep that in mind. So to kind of sum up this video and to answer the question, man, which specific phone should you pick up? I would recommend, if I had to pick one of these up, I would probably end up picking up the iPhone 11. I would honestly probably recommend picking up a used iPhone 11 or one on Amazon that is depreciated in value a little bit. The OnePlus Nord is a brand new phone, and I like this phone a lot, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best phone for the price. I feel like for a brand new phone, it's a really good phone for the most part, but I still think maybe the iPhone 11 would be better suited for me, but that doesn't mean it's the best suited phone for everybody. And there are a ton of people out there who I would say and I would recommend the OnePlus Nord to, because it's a great device. It's, cheap. It's almost stock Android. The fingerprint sensor in the display, the great battery life, the 90Hz. And I think the OnePlus Nord has a lot going for it too, but quite potentially the iPhone 11 may be a better one for a lot of people too. So in terms of everything, that pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. More importantly, everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.